On the first day of New Year 2024, Japan has been hit by a massive 7.6 magnitude earthquake, which has led to major tsunami warnings. Also in this edition of Kantipur News, we have updates about the investigations into unfortunate Banke incident and the Prime Minister Cup Women's National Cricket Tournament. Good evening, I'm Prarambha Dahal. Let's begin with the main stories. State Affairs Committee directs investigating the role of Minister for Physical Infrastructure and Labour for their part in Banke incident. Opposition calls for resignation of Minister for Home Affairs, group committee formed. Tension looms at the juvenile correction facility in Banke's Basta for the third consecutive day. Police unable to contain the situation as they cannot use force. Japan issues major tsunami warnings after a 7.6 magnitude earthquake hit the central region. Residents asked to evacuate immediately to higher grounds. And Koshi province defeats Sudur Paschim by 7 wickets to secure their spot in the Prime Minister Cup Women's National Cricket Tournament to take on APF in the decider. The State Affairs and Good Governance Committee of the Parliament has directed for investigation on the role of Minister for Physical Infrastructure and Transport Prakash Jhala and Minister for Labour Sharad Singh Bhandari in Friday's incident in Balkumari, Lalitpur. Today's meeting of the committee said that 2 youth had died because of the irresponsibility of Minister for Physical Infrastructure and Minister for Labour and has directed for investigation on both of their roles. The committee has also directed to provide appropriate compensation and ensure employment opportunities to the families of those deceased. The committee has also directed the government to put an end to the situation where the lower-ranking officials are taken actions against, while the high-ranking officials are set free. Deputy Prime Minister and Minister for Home Affairs Narayan Kazi Shrestha accepted the weakness during Banke incident. Minister Shrestha informed the committee about the negative role of EPS office chief and irresponsibility on the part of the security officer of Minister for Physical Infrastructure and Transport and the field commander of Nepal Police, and added that they were suspended for the same. At the meeting, parliamentarians of main opposition CPN-VML demanded the resignation of Deputy Prime Minister and Minister for Home Affairs Shrestha. Nepali Congress parliamentarian Gagan Thapa demanded for the reasons of silence of Minister for Labour regarding the issues related to EPS that have lasted for a long period of time now. Police Chief Basanta Kumar said that the incident was caused because of lapses in communication between the police and personal security officer of the minister. He added that the incident would not have been caused if the minister's vehicle had taken an alternate route. Parliamentarians also demanded for actions against those involved and urged the government to implement required procedures to avoid similar incidents in future. The government has formed a high-level committee, in fact investigation commission, under the leadership of former Justice Shekhar Paudel to probe into Banke incident. Today's meeting of the Council of Ministers held at the office of the Prime Minister and the Council of Ministers in Singadarbar formed the 3-member commission. The commission includes former AIG Arun BC and Narayan Prasad Vatarai from the Ministry of Home Affairs. The commission has been assigned a 1-month deadline to furnish its findings. 2 youth were killed Friday during the protest, which demanded participation in the EPS language test for Korea. Prior to this, the government had formed another 3-member probe committee under the leadership of DIG Lalmani Acharya. Ministry of Home Affairs has recalled Lalitpur Chief District Officer and Police Chief. Director of EPS office has also been removed. Tension continues to loom at the juvenile correction facility in Banke's Boyzanath Rural Municipality 3 of Basta for the third consecutive day because of clashes. The situation has grown intense after 2 groups of juveniles detained at the correction facility resorted to clashes. After the correction home administration transferred the juveniles to the correction home in Basta, the 2 groups have been clashing against each other for the past 3 days. The groups have also vandalized the vehicles of the juvenile correction home, police, Banke's Deputy Chief District Officer, as well as the vehicle of Under Secretary at the Ministry of Women, Children and Senior Citizens, Sabitri Oryal. After 90 out of the 116 juveniles at the correction facility came out and resorted to vandalism, police deployed there for their safety have also backed off. Some of the juveniles that came out of the correction facility have escaped. After the escaped juveniles entered nearby villages, the local residents have been living in a state of fear. A block of the jail in Nobasta was converted into a juvenile correction facility some 3 months ago, and juveniles from Hirminia were transferred there. Banke's Chief District Officer Jora Singh Masi, who also reached the incident site, informed that juveniles from Bhaktapur, Rupandehi and Birganj were also transferred to the correction home in Nobasta. Federal Affairs and General Administration Minister Anita Devi and Janamath Party Chairperson C.K. Raut, among others, arrested for entering prohibited area in Maitigar, Kathmandu to celebrate National Dhoti Day, have been released with the effort of Deputy Prime Minister and Minister for Home Affairs Narayan Kazi Shrestha. Police had arrested Minister Anita Devi and Janamath Party Chairperson C.K. Raut among 53 other individuals for entering the prohibited area and had taken them to the police club in Brikuti Mondap. Minister for Home Affairs Shrestha took their responsibility and facilitated their release after Minister Anita Devi began a hunger strike while in custody. The government has prohibited protests at the Maitigar section of the capital. Cadres of Janamath Party have protested in Siraha after their leaders and cadres were arrested for entering Maitigar in Kathmandu to observe the National Dhoti Day. Members and cadres of Janamath Party have staged a protest at Kasaha Chowk in Thangadi Mai Municipality, Ward number 8, under the East-West Highway. Police had arrested members of the party who had reached Maitigar in Kathmandu to celebrate Dhoti Day. Supreme Court hearing on the writ filed by Sharada Kathayat, the wife of Armed Police Force Inspector Keshav Bohra, who was killed during the Tikapur massacre 8 years ago, has postponed today as well. The hearing was slated at the bench of Justices Kumar Chudal and Til Prasad Shrestha. However, the hearing has been postponed. After Resham Chaudhary was issued a pardon on 29th May on the occasion of Republic Day, Sharada had filed a writ 2 days later. The writ demands scrapping of the decision of the Office of the President to issue a pardon to Resham Chaudhary, who is considered the mastermind of the massacre. Government websites were out of operation today following a cyber attack on the data center. Service seekers of transport management, among others, were the most affected as their operation went down. According to the National Information Technology Center (NITC), works are underway to resume operation and all affected government websites will gradually begin working. The center has said the cyber attack had created a problem in data center since Saturday, but clarified that it was not a hacking incident. Majority of the government websites did not function whole day yesterday. However, this is not the first time that the data center has witnessed such attack. The government had decided to merge the National Information Technology Center with the Information Technology Department this year. However, the decision has yet to be implemented. Executive Director of the Center, Pradeep Sharma, has said cyber attacks have been witnessed because of the failure to update the softwares, among others. It is now time for our segment Public Pulse, where you text us with your opinion.
Public Pulse.
The question is, what is the reason behind the delay in investigating complaints filed against judges? Your options are A, intention to save them, B, snail-paced work process, and C, it takes time. The voting is on. Type NEWS, select your option A, B or C and send it to 34001 to share your opinion with us. The government has reduced the lunch expenses of the meeting of the Council of Ministers from today. According to Prime Minister Pushpakumar Dahal's Secretariat, the Premier had said that improvements had to begin with little steps and had decreased the lunch expenditure of the meeting. According to the Office of the Prime Minister and the Council of Ministers, each meeting of the Council of Ministers resulted in expenditure of 60,000 rupees for lunch. More than 100 such cabinet meetings are held each year. Prime Minister Dahal's press advisor Govinda Acharya has said that reduction in lunch expenses of the Council of Ministers will save around 6 million rupees from the state coffers each year. Basic lunch will now be provided during the meeting of the Council of Ministers. Acharya added that even the smallest of steps were significant and the Prime Minister therefore had begun the initiative from his own office. Prime Minister Dahal, who has announced of transforming the operation of the government, has begun reaching the office of the Prime Minister and the Council of Ministers at Singhadarwat at 10 a.m. every day except for public holidays. Prior to this, 68 positions were removed from the office of the Prime Minister. Kathmandu Metropolis is to implement health insurance at its urban health centers. Following an agreement with the Health Insurance Board last week, the Metropolis had made preparations to implement health insurance by setting the health centers as the first point. There are health centers in 24 of 32 wards of the Metropolis. According to the Metropolis, preparations are underway to provide treatment services from as many wards as possible, as works related to human resource management, infrastructures and devices are underway at the moment. The Metropolis has said that despite the centers being the first point of treatments, patients are to be referred to Bir Hospital and Teaching Hospital among other hospitals listed in the board when required. Except for the deprived community, women health volunteers and senior citizens above 70 years, those seeking services are required to pay 10% of the amount on their own. The board has said that medicines are also to be provided to the patients with long-term illness for a period of 3 months. Health insurance has not been implemented in Budani Lakhanta and Nagarjun municipality in Kathmandu. The Health Insurance Board is also yet to release 7 billion rupees to the health institutions where insurance program has been implemented. And now before we wrap up, here's a look into the top stories one more time. State Affairs Committee directs investigating the role of Minister for Physical Infrastructure and Labour for their roles in Balkumari incident. Opposition calls for resignation of Home Minister. Probe committee has been formed. Tension looms at the juvenile correction facility in Banke's Novasta for the third consecutive day. Police unable to contain the situation as they cannot use force. Japan issues major tsunami warnings after a 7.6 magnitude earthquake hit the central region. Residents asked to evacuate immediately to higher ground. And Koshi province defeats Sudur Paschim by 7 wickets to secure their spot in the Prime Minister Cup Women's National Cricket Tournament to take on APF in the title decider. That is all for the moment. Our next English bulletin is at 10:30 p.m. Thank you for staying with us. Goodbye for now.